what you need are some basic files, and I will have a link in the description to this folder right here. And then also open up, as I did here, but open up this website. It's w3schools.com, and that'll be down in the description also. It's a great reference. I'll try not to refer to it too much because I only have one browser, and it gets a little clunky when I'm jumping back and forth. So I'll try to keep it simple, but there's a lot of great information there. If you go to the Learn HTML and just work your way down, you'll realize how easy HTML is, and just the farther down you go, that much more that you will learn. But we'll cover quite a bit of it with this. And great thing about this website is it also has a try it yourself examples, and you click on that, and then you can change things over here, and you hit run, and it'll show you the end result over here. So it's a great tool. And if you go back out to the main page, you'll see this HTML reference. It basically lists all the tags that you could use in HTML, and you click on it, and you'll see explanations, and you'll be able to do the the try it here pretty much on all of them. The ones in red that say not supported in HTML5 have pretty much been replaced or phased out. So like this one says use CSS instead, so you don't really have to worry about them. But it's a great website, and if you decide after doing this tutorial that you really like HTML and you want to take it further, this is a good place to go, because it lays things out nicely. But if you've downloaded that zip file with the basics in it, just open that up, or however you extract from a zip file, and this entire folder, drag it to wherever you want to work from. I'll copy it to the desktop, and we'll work from there. So open that up, and what you'll see is a logo, the index, and a blog. And we're going to add a little blog to the web page, where you can do like update. You don't have to put it in there, you can leave it out, but it lets you up if you put something new up or have information. If you're following along during a season or a career, you can put information in there, keep people up to date. But then in the secondary folder is where I would put the season information, and this one's season 1. If you were going to do, when you get to season 2, you do a season 2 folder and put all of its information in there. But right now we're just going to use season 1, and this is all basically the stuff that you would get out of Pro Strategy. I included a left and a right helmet in a little tiny sample video, just to show how you can embed a video. And you can do it either locally like this, where it's an actual file, or you can add code to link to a YouTube video if that's where you keep all your videos at. And that's pretty much it. I mean, what you see here is pretty much it. That's all we need. And to do this, all you really need is Notepad or whatever text editor you might use, and your browser, so you can see what the results of what you're doing. And if you hear a little funny noise in the background, my dog, I think, is having a nightmare or dreaming about chasing a rabbit, because we do live in the country. So right click on index and open with whatever you use, and I use Notepad. So there's your there's your HTML ready to be edited. And then let's bring up, if you have multiple monitors, then good for you. I used to. I don't right now just because of space, and I actually don't have a little secondary monitor, so I have to rough it with just one monitor. But with this, You can keep tabs open if you want to use that HTML site, and you don't really have to. But it's good to know it's there, and it's really fun to use. But what we're going to have the browser for is looking at the results of our editing here. We're going to just open this in the browser. So there's what the page looks like. And anything you change over here, like for instance the title, is what shows up in the browser tab. So let's call this League Home and save. And if you refresh, there you go, you've changed it. I don't know if this little icon is here because the browser just goes into that folder when there's nothing assigned and picks out an image, or if it's holding on to something I was doing earlier where I actually put that in there. But we're gonna put the code in here to put a little icon up here. So I'm not sure why earlier when I loaded it before I did it, there was just a little nothing there, but it could be the browser holding on to what was there before when I was messing around with it, but it's irrelevant. But this pretty much is what you need. This to edit your code, and this to see the results of it. And if you want to go back here to this for any reason, you can, like if you're working by yourself. But I'll try not to jump back and forth too much for anything. But there will be times where I'm probably going to sit there and stare at the screen for a second because I've forgotten more than I probably learned. But I'm having to refresh my memory as I go also. But basically for a web page, this is all you need. You don't even need this. This stuff is pretty much mandatory for the most part. You don't even have to have anything in the title. But this main stuff right here is all you need. And if I save, then refresh, you'll see there's no content here because there's nothing in the body. There are a few things that you put up here in the head part. Mostly it's instructional or informative to HTML. You know, the browser looks for a title, and so it's there. We're going to add that little icon. Then you would drop down here to body, to where you'd start putting your content. So once you start typing stuff in, putting in links and writing up things, that's all going to go in between the two body tags. And these things are called tags. Anything within these brackets. And most of the tags will have an opening and a closing, and whatever relates to that tag will go in the middle. Now there are times, and you'll see that here soon, where you would put more in the opening tag. You would go over a space and then you would add certain things, because there are also things that the HTML would use to process what's going on with that specific tag. So we will see that later, where you'll see some stuff added, but it still needs its closing tag. There are a few that don't have closing tags. I can think of one off the bat. I'm not sure what the others are, but we'll get to that in a minute. Right now I'll explain some of the basics. Once we're down here in the body, we want to start putting stuff. So there's a tag called a header, and it comes in 6 different sizes, and it's H1 through H6. So you would do an opening bracket, H1, closing bracket, then let's type season 1, and then you do a opening bracket, slash, the slash, what do they call that, a forward slash, down under the question mark, then you do H1 again, and then closing bracket. Now that's ready to go. So you just save and then refresh over here, and you'll see a header. There you go. The H1 is the largest, and if you were to change it all the way down to H6, you're going to get this little tiny thing. But it's still bold. It makes it bold, and it adds a space after it. I think it adds a space before it too, and a space after. So that way it's kind of set out away from everything else and is a header to, say, a paragraph or a section of content. There are other ways to do that. You don't always have to use the H's, but for the sake of this, that's what we're going to do. But I'm changing this back to 1. And always make sure you change both. If you change the opening tag and the closing tag. All right, let's save, and then you hit refresh, and now we're back to the big one again. Now we're going to do a paragraph. And this is where you would type in stuff. You want to type, this week in the whatever league, such and such happened, so and so got injured, blah, blah, blah. Then you could put that in a paragraph tag. So that's an opening bracket, a P, closing. And don't worry about it being case sensitive. I don't think it is. I just use all smalls, but lowercase. Then you type in games were boring except blah blah. Okay, so you type in however much you need, and then you would close it out. Closing bracket slash P, or opening bracket slash P, closing bracket. So now save and hit refresh, and there you go. And see, even though we kept typing, the header forced it down here. However, if you just keep typing, and I'm just going to copy this over and over so you can see what a lot of content would look like. So let's say you typed out this whole thing. You didn't really, you didn't care about proper punctuation. The only reason this is went down to the next line is because the window was small and it resized it. But if you stretch the browser out, you'll notice it's just one long run-on sentence. So the way to deal with that, because the browser doesn't recognize when you hit enter. So what you do is, first let's go ahead and bring this down. And this is just for the sake of the page looking in the code like it should look on the when it's in the browser. But so you've typed all this out and you're like, I don't want this big long run-on sentence. So decide, where you want to have your line breaks at, and then you would do a opening bracket, BR, closing bracket, and that's it. There is no closing tag. The line break just does that. And then say right about here, you put another one over here, then save, go back here and refresh. Now, everywhere you put that line break is basically the equivalent of hitting the enter key. Now, for the sake of things not being all chaotic, let's get rid of these real quick. Pretend like you're typing this out, but you're typing it as in, just like you would in Word or Notepad. You're getting to the end of a sentence, and then you're typing, and then stuff. I don't want to, hit enter, happened, and fans was mad. So when you file, save, refresh, you're not going to get, it's not going to be all nice like this. It's going to go back to this big long run-on. So this is where you would come to the end of the each sentence and just put your line breaks. And then now it looks all nice. So that's basically, right here, basically you've just learned how to, this is a web page. This, you could just stop at this and just make entries all the way down. If you wanted to do another one down here, then you can change that to whatever it is. Say it's season 2, save it, go over here, there you go. And just keep going and going. So basically it's a lot of copy paste, and you would have this whole little web page all ready to go. So yeah, that's it. See how easy that is, really. It's just a matter of learning what you need to put something where, and there you go. So let's go back up to here. We've already learned the how to change the tab title. Now we're going to put the little icon up there. And I saved these links to make it move a little faster. You can find this information on this if you expand it out so you have the main page. Click on the HTML tutorial part and you go down here, you'll see fav icon, and this is going to tell you how to put that little image right there, and this is all you need. And you notice it's underneath title, so all you would need to do is copy that and then just go over here and put it in your HTML and paste it under title. The only thing you have to change is the href. Href is a link. It puts an actual link to something. And our image is called logo.png. So right there you're going to put logo.png. Go over here, and when you refresh, it's still there. Like I said, but now if you change that to, if you had another image in there and you wanted to change this to that other image, then you would just change the name and it will put it up here. And you don't have to resize it, you don't have to make a little tiny image, it'll do that automatically for you up in the tab. But now you have the title changed, you have the little tab image or icon set, and now we're going to put the logo on the page. And again, anything that's going to go down here on, anything in the body of the web page goes inside body. So go here above all your text, and we're going to put the logo right there. So this, we need an image. So go right here to HTML images, and all you need is this right here. Image source, the name of the image, and then that alt. The alt is if for any reason the image didn't load, this is informational. It tells you what the image should have been, like so that way you're like, that's okay, I got to look for the image. If it was like girl in a cap, you would put girl in cap, whatever you want to call the image. But come right here, right click, paste, and then you have image source. And now we need to change the image to logo.png. Now I'm going to show you how to resize the image. So if you were going to use the logo image in different places but you didn't want it to be the same size, every time you add this logo or image somewhere, you could change the size of it. So up here maybe you want it to be big. In other places you want it to be a small one. So you can do that individually, so you can use the same image over and over and over. Don't have to have 10 different sized ones in your folder. But we're going to call this League Shield. And let's see what it does. Boom, there's your logo. Now it's big. That should be the full size of what the logo is. So if you click right here between that closing bracket and the quotation mark, go out one, then type width equals, then two quotations, then go back in between them, and the width, you set that to whatever you want. Let's see, what is the, I don't know what the actual size of the image is, but let's say you want it to be smaller, just go 100, and it'd be pixels, so go to 100 pixels, then refresh, boom, now you have a smaller image. Let's make it a little bit bigger. That's not bad. Alright, so now you have your image, and right here you can resize it. What I don't want to do is have the image over here. I want it to be centered. This stuff I don't mind because we'll take care of that at a later date with CSS. But the image, it will look better if it's here in the middle. Or I think so. You might like it over there. But if you don't want it over there, we're going to do what's called CSS, and we're going to add a class to the image. Because when you add the CSS to center it, if you don't add the class, then every image on this page, if you added them later, is going to be centered. So if you wanted to put an image above this, it's going to be centered. And until you center all, it maybe you just want to keep everything over here. So we're going to add a class to this image to make it centered. But what we're going to do is we're going to put some CSS up here in the head part. So let's go down a couple to add room for it. And here it is. So we're going to add these style brackets or tags, and this is what you put your CSS in between these style. And you can also do CSS in a separate text file and link to it, but for the sake of this one, and we were doing only a little bit, so there's not really any need to go all fancy and link to a separate CSS file. But when you do that, it does keep all of that text out of your HTML, and it makes the HTML a little simpler and cleaner. But that's a personal choice. But you do opening bracket, style, close, and then do opening bracket, slash, style, and then close. And then let's drop that down a few. And now we're going to put in between that a class. And that is basically this. Well, actually, I don't have to put it on the front. There we go. Paste. A class is going to be named anything. It doesn't matter. It's what this is going to link to what you want it to affect. So we want to center the image. So go to the image right here, go over one, and then put class equals, and then quotation marks. And in between that, you don't have to put the dot. In fact, I'm going to change this so we don't get what I was doing before. We're going to call this logo. So go down here to where we put the class in, and make sure there's space in between, because if there's not a space, then the HTML is just going to see all this stuff run together, and it'll screw it up. So you want class to be have a space between the other stuff, and then in between the quotations you just put logo. That's it. So when the web sees this class up here, logo, it's going to go find what the class is assigned to down here and work its magic. So let's see if that worked. Make sure I didn't screw it up. Save, go back here, refresh. Boom. Now there you go. Our logo is centered on the page, and if you open the page, it'll move to find the actual geographic center, so to speak, of the page. So, and that's it. That we just added a CSS, and it's centered the logo. And the contents of this, I just went on that this page and looked for alignment, and the alignment section shows you how to center an image, and this is the information you need to center something. You display it as block, and I won't go into that. Auto and auto, so it basically causes it to just find the center of the page. And that, I think right now, is all we're going to put in style. But there, you just did. You've done CSS, and now you've done HTML, and now you've done a little bit of CSS to center that logo. So we are making some progress here. So let's see. A comment. A comment, this is very important. Commenting is a way for you to leave yourself notes about things that you're doing, and it doesn't affect the HTML or anything. There's another one for CSS. This one is specific to HTML. You can leave comments up, for style, in a style sheet by, I think it's a / asterisk, and then you comment, and then asterisk / I think that's what the CSS is. But let's say you want to leave yourself a note here. you just type in, you know, the open bracket, exclamation, then 2 dashes, then type in what you want. Is tab icon. So now this is just letting you know what this link is to. And it doesn't show up, it doesn't affect anything, it doesn't push anything down on the web page or anything. It's just invisible basically to the browser. But it's you leaving notes to yourself, so you'll know what stuff is. You could leave a comment above the image and say, you know, actual size is 20 something by 20, you know, whatever just any note you want to leave somewhere. You just make sure it's in this format, and then you can put it anywhere, and it doesn't affect anything. We've added the title, we've added the icon, the body. All your content goes in the body part. And again, you can bump it a couple times to keep some space in there, and that doesn't cause this to change at all. The browser doesn't really notice you hitting the enter. We've centered the shield. Ooh, good. All right, now we can add the little blog feature. And if you don't want, I'll show you how to add this, but then disable it if you maybe think you want it, but right now you don't. So the little blog is going to be basically a window within this window, so to speak. It's a frame where you will load, another web page would be loaded, and that would be what you put your blog information on. So go down here in the body, and I want it to be above, I want it below the logo, but above the season 1. So this is basically one of those I talked about where you would add information into the opening tag. So with this, you would do opening bracket, iframe, then space, and then we're going to give it a class. You don't have to give it a class, but I don't think you're going to give it a class though. In fact, let me get the class out of there. Make sure you don't need it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, the class is going to do the same thing as logo. It's going to center it. But this is how the little blog page looks. And if there was a ton of text here, a bunch of entries, then you would get your scroll bars to scroll up and down to read it. But let's go back to here, add back in the class, and then source is the link to the web page that's going to get loaded in. And I've already created that. It's the one that says blog.html. So that would be the source. You put blog.html. Height and width and title. Title, you just put what it is, blog. But the height and width, you can just play around with that. That is a little over half the page, and you know, that tall. So it's a decent size to be able to read quite a bit before you have to scroll. But you can change that to whatever you want. But now what I want to do is center it, because I don't like it over to the left. So once you've entered that in, and I'll make the final website available. So if you don't want to have to build the whole thing and follow along, you can just load it into a notepad and just make the edits you need. But now we're going to add the class to center the blog, and that's right here. And it goes underneath the logo one, and it still goes up here in style. So make sure you keep it between the two style tags and underneath this class. So this is the class's blog. So up here you have .blog, and then you have this basic information to center it. Save. Go back over here and refresh. But let me open it up. Boom! Now it's centered. So the only thing you would ever have to do to this again would be just to edit the blog.html. And that you would just right click on it, open with Notepad, and then here you go. It's basically the same as the main page we started with over here. You could give your heading, you know, week whatever, and then down here type in your whatever you want to put in, and you know, later on when you come back and you want to do another entry, if you want to do them from most recent to oldest, then come above it and, you know, add a new header, drop down, you know, type in whatever you want this to be. Go down here and do your paragraph. And then blah, blah. And don't forget your line breaks if you want to drop down, you know, like you're hitting the enter. Type more, and so on. So that's pretty much it. That's all you need to, and there's the changes we just made. And then as you add more, you'll have to scroll and so on, but that's it. I mean, this is pretty much all we've done so far. And you have, for all intents and purposes, a functioning page. The only thing missing would be links. And that is also pretty simple. Let's go back to this. And right here, if you see HTML links. And this is a link. This is what one looks like if you're linking out to a web page on the internet. You would put the HTTPS and all that stuff. But if you're just linking to something locally, you don't need that, which we're doing. So let me copy that. Go back over to the code. And I'm going to put these underneath each season's little encapsulation. So down here, let's put standings, and you're gonna have to add the reference. I'm doing this just right now to lay it out. So standings, schedule, rosters, and I'll stop with that, but you could keep adding things. Whatever you have output for, you keep adding. So that's going to be standings. And rosters. And you can get rid of this once you've set everything up. And you could have just put the links down there too, and just filled it in instead of doing it like I did it, but I'm kind of thinking on the fly here. Let's save it. Now, as you'll notice, you have links. Now, this part here where it says URL, that's where you would put a link. So let's see. We're season 1, so open season 1, and let's see, I have standings right here, stan.html. So where it says URL, you would put, if they were in the same folder, you would put, see, is that stand or stan? I already forgot. Stan, okay. Stan.html. But it's not going to link to anything because it's in another folder. It's in the season 1 folder. So right here you would put s1/ save it. Now there you go, the link. So it's going to this folder, season 1, and loading it. And you would do the same with each of those. Let's see. I'll do Team Skid, Team Ross. Save it, make sure I typed them right. Schedule, yep, and rosters. Okay, so now we've got those links good to go. But if you don't want them just in a long line like that, then put your line break right there. And you don't really have to put one by the last one unless you're putting something underneath it. But there you go. So now we have standings, schedule, and rosters. So this is all set up. So you have your logo centered, you have your little blog, you have your season 1 blurb, and you started adding your logos. Now, like I did on the finished product, let's say this was the end of the season. Season 1 ended in a barn burner as the Washington, what are they, the Hawks defeated the Dallas Storm 42. I wonder what would be the appropriate. Come on, Gary. Would you put just the dash, or would you put 42 210 or 241, say TO? Either way, grammar police can handle that. So now it's a run-on sentence, but let's say I go back to here and add my page break or my line break. Let me add another one here real quick. That's probably spelled wrong. Wouldn't it be IES? I don't know. So let me put another line break here real quick. Now, let's say you could put a link down here to championship game, but let's say you just want to have one of the words up here linked to it. You could choose the title. So let's see, what did I copy last? Yep, there we go. So backspace over title. Put title here. Let's see, what did I call the championship game? Oh, box. Yep, box HTML. So season 1 / box.html. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so there's the words are ran together, so I forgot to add a space. So in other words, you would treat this entire code as just the word title. So space there, and then space there. So now it should look proper. There we go. And now you can click on title, and then there's your championship game. So that's like a quick little way to link to your box score. And if you go to this, and let's say we're going to use the compact, open that with Notepad, find the body, oh nope, go to box, open with Notepad, my bad, go find body, there's body, here's your Storm at Hawks, right here under the box score I'm going to put a link to play-by-play. And that would be, I'm going to use the compact. So, and since the box score HTML is in the same folder with the play-by-play, you don't have to put S1. It's gonna know it's in the same folder. It'll find it there. So just put, what are we using? pbpcom.html. And then right here, just put play-by-play. And we saved it. Now if you go back here, click on title game, this is your box score. Now you're going to see this link here to play-by-play. Click that, and there's your play-by-play. So now you have this championship game basically goes all the way through. Box score, play-by-play. And that was all there is to it. And you can do that anywhere. If you want to replace a word, make it a link. Just add that to link code in place of the word. Just make sure over here you put the word where you would actually title the link. And that by and large is it as far as the main page goes. So let me see what my outline says next. The video. Alright, we've done the championship, we've done the box score, we've done the play-by-play link. Now let's do the video, and that was the box score page. You could add it anywhere though. If you wanted to add it here inside, you'd add it to the blog page down here below the season 1 or below wherever you want to add it, but for the sake of this video I added it to the box score. So let's open box back up, Notepad. Oh, there it is. Alright. So, this is if you have a video locally on your hard drive, like I do. There's a sample video in that folder. So, copy this. And basically what I did was I took the stuff out of the YouTube code and just made it local. So, where would we put that? Do you want to put it under well, let's put it down here above the game stats. So paste that code, or type that in. It'd be a paragraph, and then iframe width equals, and then you have the size, and basically when you download the completed page, you can just use this code over and over. Whenever you're inserting a video, the title, you can change that. Season 1 Championship. And then here, the only thing you really need to change is the title of the video, where it says source. So look in that folder, the video is titled 1.mp4, which it already is. So save that. And let's go back to title. And there's your video. It pops up down there and it's ready to go. And that is all it took, this one line of code. And if you had, you know, a separate folder that you put all your video files in, you would just add, you know, whatever it's called, videos slash, and then the name of the video. But we don't have to do that because I threw it all in one folder, so to make it easy. And really, to tell you the truth, I think we have reached the end of the basic website. Okay, let me add the email link. If you want to put your email down at the bottom of the main page, right here, this is the index. Go all the way down to the very bottom above the closing body link or a tag, and then you put in a paragraph and then a link. And an email link is just like these other links that I put in up here, like this one, href, you know, for the box score. It's the same thing. It's just that when you add the actual link, it's for an email address, it's mail to, what is that, a colon, semicolon, someone at blah 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 blah. So whatever the email is. So if it's, you know, whatever your email, Gary blah Samgar at Gmail whatever.com, and then as long as you format it just like this, and this will be in the final web page, so you can look down there and see it, and whenever you need to add an email somewhere, just copy and paste. But this right here is just whatever you want to call it, send email or mail me or contact me or whatever, you can name it whatever you want. But just make sure it's still within the body tags, but down here at the bottom, if that's where you want to put it. And there it is. It's showed up down at the bottom. And when you click it, it opens whatever program you have set to send emails. Mine's Outlook, but I hardly ever use Outlook. But that actually is pretty much it. I'm going to take a short break, or maybe a long break, look this over and see how I did, and see if it looks like it makes some sense and you guys can follow it. And if it looks good, then this is it, and I appreciate you guys following along. If I think of anything else, I'll come out with a part 2, or I may edit this. We'll see. But thanks for following along. I hope it was helpful, and you'll be able to get the final website from the from a link in the description, but I'll also put it up on my Samgar page for later if you don't want to have to go searching for old YouTube videos to find the links. But hopefully this video will have showed you enough that if you don't want to just do it from scratch, you can just take the template that I provide and just change out links and, you know, page names and image names and whatever else you want to change, and minimal amount of work. But thanks for following along, guys, and enjoy.